welcome to News R. In this edition, Sierra Leone's international credibility restored, International Day of Midwifery in the country, and the former marketing coordinator, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, George E. Mason, passes on. Well, these stories and more lined up in this edition of News R. With me, Alice Mariama Thompson. Don't go away. President Julius Maada Bio has stated that his administration launched the Extended Credit Facility with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in November 2018. The relaunch of this program, according to the president, within 8 months of his administration, has restored the international credibility of Sierra Leone and brought in substantial resources. The new extended credit facility is estimated at $172.1 million United States dollars, of which $21 million was immediately disbursed. President Bio made the statement during this year's state opening of the second session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone. Our State House correspondent was there in our report.
It was a well-attended ceremony at the Well of Parliament, although the main opposition, All People's Congress Party, walked out when the president was about to enter. Yet still, other opposition parties like the NGC, C4C, and the Paramount Chiefs waited patiently to witness the ceremony. Updating the House of Parliament, other citizens and diplomatic corps, President Julius Maada Bio disclosed that his administration inherited a fiscal imbalance with expenditure far exceeding revenue, largely due to bloated public spending in spite of shrinking domestic revenue. This President Bio noted the ratio of domestic revenue of gross domestic product, GDP, was 24.1% in 2017. An overall fiscal deficit, GDP ratio, has dropped from 8.7% in 2017 to 5.4% in 2018 as a result of ongoing efforts to control expenditure while mobilizing domestic revenue.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, given that Sierra Leone is an import-dependent country, a depreciation in exchange rate is translated into increase in prices of commodities. This has kept inflation in 2 digits, although projected to progressively decline to single digits in 2021. In the coming year, government will consolidate ongoing reforms and adopt new measures to expand production, which will help to stabilize the exchange rate and curtail prices of commodities. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the current debt situation is unsustainable and constitutes a critical risk to effective budgetary management. As of December 31st, 2018, external debt stood at $1.5 billion and domestic debt at 4.9 trillion leones, which is 636.4 million United States dollars. Repayment of principal amounts and interest continue to choke the budget, thereby reducing the resource envelope for financing priority investment in human capital development.
President Bio told the House that the new Ministry of Planning and Economic Development has produced a series of development policy documents, including the Child Poverty Report, Population Policy, and the Development Cooperation Framework, and it is at an advanced stage in the preparation of the country's first public investment policy. The aspiration of his government, according to President Bio, has been formally articulated in the medium-term development plan, Education for Development, as the total cost of the plan is $8.15 million, of which $4.5 million United States dollars would be mobilized from domestic resource and foreign commitment, with a project financing gap of $3.65 million United States dollars. He said the plan, which shall henceforth inform the annual budget, defines 8 clusters, including human capital development, diversifying the economy, and promoting growth, infrastructure, and economic competitiveness, governance, and accountability for results, empowering women, children, adolescents, and persons with disability, youth employment, sports, and migration.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, a fight against poverty means a fight for women's empowerment and child protection and social protection for persons living with disabilities. In terms of promoting female entrepreneurs, government, in partnership with ECOWAS, through the support from Spanish NEPA funds, has commenced the business incubator for African women entrepreneurship in Sierra Leone, targeting the most vulnerable women, particularly women in agribusiness. Government has allocated a sum of $2 billion as part of the capital budget for the Women's Development Fund for female entrepreneurs in 2019. The aim of the fund is to provide seed capital for female entrepreneurs and traders to enable them start small businesses.
In the area of agriculture, President Julius Maada Bio, however, noted that agricultural development shall continue to be the centerpiece of his administration drive towards economic diversification and poverty reduction, as the focus of his government is to attain self-sufficiency in food production in the next 4 years, increase cash crop production and export, create jobs, and provide income for the population. President Julius Maada Bio was pleased to inform the House about the rapid developments in the agriculture sector, adding that a total of 3,800 hectares of oil palm is now planted all over the country, including 1,000 hectares of cocoa plantation have been rehabilitated. 52 agricultural business centers selected for transformation, and 26 of them have received complete post-harvest and processing machine with startup capital.
I'm pleased to report rapid development in the agricultural sector. A total of 3,800 hectares of oil palm is now planted all over the country. 841 hectares of inland valley swamps have been rehabilitated. 600 kilometers of feeder roads have been rehabilitated. 59 small agribusinesses and 9 medium to large scale businesses supported by smallholder commercialization and agribusiness development project are now fully functional. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am also pleased to report that the agricultural sector has attracted support from many development partners, including the World Bank, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, Islamic Development Bank, Food and Agriculture Organization, and the European Union.
Government, he said, has established the Office of the Chief Minister to support the presidency in coordinating the ministry departments and agencies. The office is the central hub for coordinating and supporting the implementation of the government's strategic priorities, as it supports the presidency and the cabinet secretariat to ensure follow-up and implementation of decisions. The speech was later tabled in Parliament by the head of government business, Honorable Mohammed Sidi Tunis, for debate by members of Parliament. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, How Mosiri reporting.
The president of the Sierra Leone Midwifery Association, Safiatou Agnes Fode, has said the number of midwives in the country is not enough for the growing numbers of pregnant women and lactating mothers. She made this revelation at the celebration of the International Day of Midwifery and the 50th year of existence of the Sierra Leone Association of Midwifery. The celebration, which took place at the Atlantic Hall of the National Stadium at Saik State, saw the presence of pregnant women, lactating mothers, and midwives. Maya Masuma witnessed the celebration and now reports.
The theme for this year's celebration was Midwives, Defenders of Women's Rights. The celebration, which started with a march past from the St. John roundabout, ended at the Atlantic Hall of the National Stadium. These midwives have stood up for the right of women to receive respectful maternity care and contraception, even though their societies refuse to accord them this right. Many women suffer abuse and cannot return home. FGM is one of the issues that the midwives are also campaigning against. Pregnant women and lactating mothers present at the celebration thanked the midwives for leading them to safe delivery. They appealed to governments for more drugs in all peripheral health units in the country and also to encourage and provide enabling working environment for midwives. President of the Sierra Leone Midwifery Association, Safiatou Agnes Fode, commended all the midwives in the country. She said the International Day of Midwifery is not only about midwives being defenders, but also an opportunity to highlight their right for a midwife to practice in a safe and enabling environment. Madam Safiatou said that they have witnessed horrific incidences with midwives in their workplaces and the abuse and bullying of midwives by colleagues.
I am saying, and the world is saying, midwives should be free from harm going to work and at work and in their families. In this country, there have been incidences reported that midwives have been attacked in hard-to-reach communities by thieves. They have been attacked by the community. And so this is a time we have to say to our people, our colleagues need to work in a safe environment.
A package of baby kits was donated each to 50 pregnant women and lactating mothers to encourage them to go to the hospital for safe delivery. 50 awards were also given to midwives for their outstanding performance to the nation. These awards were given to them by the country director of UNFPA, Madam Eva Kim Dixon, as the organization is also celebrating their 50th years of existence. Madam Eva Kim Dixon said UNFPA's three main areas of work are to ensure universal access to reproductive health, including family planning and sexual health to all couples and individuals. She said they want to thank and celebrate them as midwives who have continued to fight, protect and defend women and girls no matter the circumstance.
As UNFPA, we have a mission, and our mission is to ensure that we deliver a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. And in all of these areas of our mission, midwives are central. So these celebrations with you, the midwives, are key and a central part of our celebrations of 50 years of UNFPA globally.
Some of the midwives who were awarded had this to say.
Our profession is to save life. So the courage and patience we have for the profession has taken us this far, and we will continue to work as hard as we can.
Actually discuss issues, especially contemporary issues affecting midwives, and today we are also awarding, midwives who have worked so hard in midwifery, and that includes midwives working in regulation, midwives working in association, midwives working in education, and most of all, midwives working in service delivery.
Meanwhile, the International Confederation of Midwives, ICM, leads global recognition and celebration of the work of midwives, comes up as the 5th of May each year. SLBC News, Maria Masuma reporting.
We have decided to be a midwife. We have decided to be a midwife. We have decided to be a midwife. No turning back, no turning
Craving for Development, in collaboration with 50/50 Group, has commenced a 2-day Ignition Hour quarterly career development training for university students in the Western area. The Ignition Hour is a program focused on providing career development training for young people. The training is being held at the University House, Friar College campus. Esther Maisimura.
Program has been contributing to the growth of young people through its monthly TVCs on social entrepreneurship and also through its quarterly career development courses and the technical assistance for proposal development for young people. Vice Chancellor and Principal, University of Sierra Leone, Professor Fodesa, before declaring the training open, said it was a laudable venture from the organization for conducting such training, which further will help the students. He called on the students to seize the opportunity and utilize it well. Founder of Ignition Aminata Kani Balde, said they have been helping young people in developing their skills and work on their career.
So what we're trying to do with the Ignition Hour is to develop a platform that helps young people and college students develop their skills in social entrepreneurship. So we know that it's very important for young people to have the exposure to ideas and initiatives. But after we started that, we realized that it needs to be coupled with, let's say, the development of skills for young people.
She added that on the completion of their various training courses, students are expected to discover their true potentials. Director of Academic and Career Counseling Services, University of Sierra Leone, who also doubles as the president of 50/50 Group, Dr. Fatou Taki, cautioned these students to take into consideration their communication skills and dress code, among others, in the process of securing a job. Reporting for SLBC, Esther Marie-Samuel.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Joseph Danema, has launched Bond District Family Bow Chapter. The Bond Family Organization has been in existence for 10 years, and it serves as a pressure group to foster development in the Bond District. Rose Kodima Stevens reports.
Fishing and farming are the two main livelihood activities of the large majority of the district's population. Palm oil have been on the rise and more people are engaged in its production in recent years. The overall poverty level is 60% according to indigents of Bond districts. Because of their peaceful nature, the district was among the initial districts of the southern province to begin resettlement of war-affected, eternally displaced persons in an effort to consolidate peace in the country. Giving the keynote address, Mayor of Bo, Harold Tucker, said, "The southern district comprises several islands and mainland, and the districts over the years have suffered neglect and has gotten huge development problems in almost every sector." Launching the Bond District Family Boat Chapter, the Minister of Agriculture, Joseph Danema, said, "Despite the gross marginalization, the district has unique culture of love and cohesion, which he noted is the reason for the formation of the various chapters in the country." He maintained that funds derived from the dinner will be used to complement government's effort in bringing development to the district. Bond District, he went on, has one of the world's largest deposits of titanium ore in the world. Mr. Ndanema reiterated government's commitment to salvage the state of Bond into an enviable one. One of the founding members of the Bond District family, Engineer Horatio Max Govey, thanked the new administration for ongoing developments in the district, especially road construction and other developmental projects on the island. He expressed appreciation over promises made by President Bio during the 2018 Agro-Tourism and Cultural Festival on the island to correct the injustices done to the district because of divisive politics. President Bio said he will ensure that development is shared to every part of the country, and Bond will no longer be an exception. The district has little to benefit from the huge economic potential that is the Rutai. Poor mining policy have left one of the worst environmental degradation episodes in living memory. Reporting for SLBC, Rose Konima Stevens.
The former marketing coordinator of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, Judge E. Mason, has passed on at Chatham Hospital. Judge Emmanuel Mason, fondly called La Maison, joined the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Service in January 1977 as temporary sales clerk and rose through the ranks, serving as head of advertising and commercial division. He retired in March 2017. Judge Lewis spoke to some staff who worked with him.
My name is Asmi Uba, an employee of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation.
My name is Mrs. Mayema Alice Kabu.
Mr. Mason was the head of advertising in the mid-80s. He was very vibrant. He goes out to get adverts for the then SLBS. And when we are transformed to the SLBC, he was also part of the admin and later transferred to the commercial department.
When I started to work at the commercial section, Mr. Mason is the one who taught me all about commercials. He is a very brilliant man. He's a very hard-working man. Mr. Mason is so plain that he cannot hide any good job.
Mr. Mason has been a very pleasant man. I remember when I came here some 15 years ago, he gave me opportunity in terms of encouraging me, asking me by then to further my education. He encouraged me to go to university, which I did, and we had lots of fun. Whenever you are around Mr. Mason, especially for me, you will hardly notice the age difference between both of us. But he was this kind of person who was always open to me. We spoke on many issues as if we were contemporary, but we were not. But he was just fond of me, a very caring man and a very friendly and pleasant person.
Mr. Mason was always on his toes to see that money comes into the office through advertising. So we will miss him in the area of advertising, even though he has retired before he died. But we are still thinking of him. Memories of him will always flow in this institution.
He has seen so many directors general of SLBC who had come and gone. He served so many people. So he had a wealth of experience that many of us start from. Though we are not in the same department, he was more in the marketing, and later he was transferred to the human resource, and later he went again to commercial department. But believe you me, when you have a conversation with him, one-on-one conversation, you will know he was a man who had experience.
During lunchtime, he will come around to us at our own section to make funds. We make funds, we laugh, we bring our old days topics. Each one explains our experience or his experience during that period when it is lunchtime. And after lunchtime, we'll go back to seriousness. That was that gentleman, Mr. Mason. Mr. Mason, Mr. Mason, Mr. Mason. I miss
The National Commission for Persons with Disability, NCPD, has updated journalists about the access of persons with disability to free health care. According to the Commission, persons with disability have started accessing free medical treatment at government hospitals. 3 persons with disability testified that they have gone through major operations without paying money. Francis Danema.
The 3 persons with disabilities who claimed to have gone through major operations are Esther Kalon, Reginald Williams, and Hassan Conte. Esther Kalon was operated on for fibroid at the PCM hospital without paying anything. Reginald Williams was operated on for stroke, whilst Hassan Conte went through hernia operation at Connaught Hospital. All of them said they were supported by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, NCPD, to do tests and bought drugs that were not available in the hospital. Acting Programs Manager, NCPD Prince Monde said the provision for free health care for persons with disability is not realistic. He said the commission closely followed the operations of the 3 people and did not pay anything for the operations. He encouraged persons with disabilities to go to the health facilities to access free treatments whenever they get sick. Executive Secretary NCPD Salamin Kotekwi said the commission has also worked closely with the chairman of the Sierra Leone Medical Board, Dr. Jubrila Fadluddin, to work on the criteria for the certification of persons with disability.
So what we have done is to engage the relevant people with special reference to Ministry of Health. And I want to recognize the effort because we supported Media Watch in ensuring that we are trying to popularize Section 38, which says that every MD should have a disability desk or unit. So when they engaged the Ministry of Health, the issue of the medical board came up. So in a follow-up to that, we engaged the Ministry of Health. We talked to Dr. Faraday, who is
He said the commission has done a survey in selected health centers across the country. Finance Manager NCPD Ibrahim Jimisa said the commission is faced with budgetary challenges to pay for tests and buy drugs that are not available in the hospital. He said funds allocated to the commission for direct support to persons with disabilities is not enough and called on them to increase their support. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
Partners on adolescent issues in Cambia District have organized community dialogue on sexual penetration and violence against women and girls. The awareness program is part of the Black Tuesday movement every last Tuesday of the month campaign on campaign on community dialogue session to break the silence around rape, sexual abuse cases, and to engage government to develop and implement policies and laws that protect girls' rights. Iona Patrick Kamal was there and now reports.
Black Tuesday was initiated by a renowned journalist and station manager of Radio Democracy, Asma James, after an alleged sexual penetration of a 5-year-old girl by her 28-year-old uncle. The initiative has transformed into a movement after an organization that is supporting adolescents organizations' purposeful production, which saw that many of those actors were fighting for the same cause in isolation and connected them through a platform called Black Tuesday Movement to amplify their collective efforts. This community dialogue session in Cambia is part of the series of community dialogue sessions organized by the Black Tuesday Movement in fighting for the rights of girls. One of the founders of Black Tuesday Movement, Asma James, said they chose black because it symbolizes mourning, grieving, lamentation, and strength. She said as a movement, they always wear black to protest and to mourn those who died as a result of rape and support the cause of survivors who are fighting for justice and to show that they now have the strength to break the silence and uphold the rights of women and girls.
What we want to let people know about the issue about rape, the issue about sexual penetration, the issue about reporting some of these matters, the issue about not compromising these matters. And that is why we engage the community, the parents, that you don't have to compromise some of these cases. If it happens, you have to let the authorities know, because again, tomorrow it has to be you, it has to be your child, it has to be anyone. So we encourage people to come forward and not to tolerate, to encourage some of these bad things men do to others.
Madam James noted, since the first event was organized on a Tuesday last year, the organizers decided to declare every Tuesday as a day to demand justice for rape survivors by encouraging people to wear black in silent protest and solidarity with those fighting to end the culture of rape in Sierra Leone. The country manager, Purposeful Production, Tania Fraser, said the movement seeks systemic change an audience of everyone, including policymakers, law enforcers, community leaders, parents, women's groups, girls, men and boys, religious and traditional leaders, among others. She said the Black Tuesday movement takes the form of community dialogue by creating a platform for experts and community actors to engage in a panel discussion by providing an enabling environment for survivors to share their stories and demand concrete action from governments and other key players.
The Black Tuesday movement, the goal is to go around and raise awareness so we can actually see whether we can see a fall in the number of sexual penetration and rape. It's debatable. But at the moment, what we've seen, especially since the president's declaration, is we're seeing an increase in the number of people who are actually going out to report. Because these cases are going on all the time, but people were not reporting. And now we're seeing an increase in the number of reporting cases. What we would also like to see is the increase in the number of reported cases should also lead in an increase in the number of prosecuted cases, perpetrators being found guilty and sentenced, and so forth.
System Strengthening Inclusion Officer Gold Sierra Leone, Florence Roberts, said the organization has been fighting for the rights of adolescent girls in the country since its establishment. She said they partnered with the Black Tuesday movement to ensure the issue of sexual penetration on teenage girls and sexual abuse are eradicated in the country. The Paramount Chief, Magbema Chiefdom Kambia District, Honorable Paramount Chief Bai Faramatas Bubungbak IV, called on the girls to report any sexual penetration attempts made to them by anybody to the nearest authority. He informed the movement that since his inception as Paramount Chief in his chiefdom, he had warned all his chiefs not to marry any underage girl as a way of preventing early marriage and child abuse. The line manager Family Support Unit Kambia District, Frances Kai, said, due to the distance from one village to another, parents allow compromises with perpetrators because they find it difficult to access justice.
Well, that report by Aruna Patrick Kamau was read in the studios by Rose Kunima Stevens. And now for news around Africa. Army and police in Benin's commercial capital, Cotonou, have been using force to clear hundreds of demonstrators gathered near the home of the former president, Thomas Boni Yayi. Witnesses said that 3 people were killed. Supporters of Mr. Yayi took to the streets on Wednesday after he called for the results of Sunday's parliamentary election to be annulled. Later that night, Benin Interior Minister said members of Benin's security forces went against orders and used lethal weapons against opposition protesters. Mr. Yayi is one of a number of high-profile figures who have challenged the legitimacy of Sunday's parliamentary election, in which no opposition candidates were allowed to take part. Initial results showed turnout was just 23%, a record low. Liberia's president and former international football star George Weah has resumed working for his official office exactly 2 weeks after he abandoned it because 2 snakes were found in the building where it is located. The building had to be thoroughly fumigated before the president was advised to return on Wednesday. One of the first persons to visit President Weah at the office was former Vice President Joseph Boakai, who lost to him in the 2017 presidential election. The office of the president has been based in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' 6th-floor building since a fire in 2006 gutted down the nearby presidential mansion. The snakes, which emerged from a hole on the ground floor of the 6th-floor building, went right back into it when people desperately tried to kill them. And the Ugandan pop star and opposition MP, Bobby Wine, has been freed on bail after 2 days in prison. Magistrate Esther Nahire, who gave her decision after the MP testified via video link, told him he would be returned to jail if he engaged in unlawful demonstrations while free. Bobby Wine, whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, was arrested on Monday for organizing a protest against attacks on the use of social media. During his hearing, Earlier today, the MP told Buganda Road Court he was being persecuted under the guise of persecution. Correspondents say his popularity could make him President Museveni's biggest challenger in the 2021 elections. And now for sports, we join Esther Maisamora.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Sports Updates. And in the news, Masiaka Young Boys organization has concluded its under-10 junior gala competition at the Ahmadiyya playing grounds in Masiaka Putloko. Young Boys won the championship after defeating Me and My Boys FC in a post-game penalty. The competition was sponsored by Unisa Dim Cargo. Here is a report. This competition aims at spotting out young talent in the Koya Chiefdom. The football gala started with 6 teams, with only Young Boys and Me and My Boys FC made it to the finals. This final also saw the display of talent by these young boys whom many say, if supported, have a chance to become football stars. Founder of Masiaka Young Boys organization, Unisa Din Kagbo Jr., said he organized the gala competition to identify players that are expected to represent their chiefdom in future competitions. According to him, such a gala has never been organized in the chiefdom. Abdul Kaba Kagbo, one of the sponsors of the football gala, commended the boys for organizing such a successive football gala, noting that the move to organize the gala will foster football development in the chiefdom. Trophies and medals were distributed to players and the champion, Young Boys FC by Unisa Din Kagbo. And the first edition of the Local Commercial Bank Intersports meeting has ended at the Goldridge Beach House. The Intersports meeting brings members of staff of the different branches across the country. Victor Kohlhaus Gray took the first position in the sports meeting. Here is a report. This first Intersports meeting was full of fun and interaction with staff members across the country, placed in various house colors named after previous managing directors of the bank. Victor House Gray comprises Wellington, Charlotte Street, Koidu, and Clock Tower branches. John Okrafo Smart, Move, Siaka Stephen Street, Pujon, and Wilberforce State branches. Henry Macaulay Blue includes Kenema, McKinney, and Congo Cross branches, and Chris Walton House Yellow was represented by Headquarter. The opening event saw House representatives being blindfolded and expected to form a perfect square. Other events like Find an Object Hidden Under the Sand, Nose Divine Game, in which the participants took cotton board with their nose and transferred to another point, Tug of Peace, all formed part of the program. Managing Director of Local Commercial Bank, Dr. Walton Gilpin, said they decided to organize this maiden edition of the sporting meeting to get acquainted with staff members countrywide. As he noted, sport always alerts the brain.
Well, you know that a healthy mind gets a healthy body, and also it's nice to have people come together as one and have a fun activity so that they can promote harmony, they can promote coordination, they can promote unity in the system. But at the same time, building the spirit of competition amongst them makes them know that they have to compete for customers, they have to compete for profit, they have to compete to grow the bank. And so this is actually an external stimuli which will bring out an internal response of one, physical fitness, to more determination, to be better, should I say, harmony within staff, and foremost of all, the spirit of challenging, of growing. That's what Rocket Bank is doing.
Medals were distributed to individuals and the Champions Trophy given to Grey House, who emerged as winners with 81 points. Esther Maisamwa, SLBC. That's all for this edition of Sports Updates on News Hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Esther Maisamwa. Goodbye.
And from sports, we go over to the entertainment desk, where we join Mohammed King Milan Bangura.
One such production finding it hard to reach the top is Leading Stars Production. A director is Alpha Jello, popularly known as K-Man or T-Boy. He has been in the movie business since 2005. He said he came into the field out of passion, as he did not get any formal training in the movie production, but through dreams and some of his friends who had already been in the business.
Well, I used to ask myself, I don't even know, because for any time I sleep and awake, I used to dream. I'm doing different stuff in the bush, outside, with so many people, you know. I didn't go to school for these things, but because I always mingle with those who know more than me, I think that's why I'm going every day.
T-Boy said he started working with one of Sierra Leone's leading singers, K-Man, but later shifted to his childhood desire, which is movie production, and named the company Leading Star Production. T-Boy said he has produced about 6 movies, including Deadly Passion, Free Education, Not Free the Partner, and more. He said most of his productions are non-profitable, as there is no beneficial benefit in the movie industry in the country.
We talk about profit in Sierra Leone in terms of movie, then we should have stopped doing it. There's no profit making right now, but it's our talent, you understand? And there's no reason we should stop. We just keep in doing it until the time comes.
He said his movie Deadly Passion received a lot of accolades from the public, and that motivated him in directing, editing and producing another movie called Trap on Set. The movie will be premiered on the 3rd of May at the Ella's Guest House in Godrich. According to him, this movie will take the center stage in terms of quality and accuracy in the movie industry in the country. But what is this movie all about?
Well, Trap on Set, when I look at Sierra Leone right now, people don't know the kind of thing we are facing in terms of movie making. So I sit back and say, I need to show Sierra Leone people some of the things we used to facing for any time we went for shooting or in the bush or in the village. So I sat back and write some things. We went to the village and what happened. Action.
This movie has a lot of young, talented cast, including Usman Haruna, popularly known as Salon Ramsey, because of his resemblance to the Nigerian actor. Usman Haruna said he started acting at a tender age and has been a strong pillar in the Leading Stars production. He said he played the leading role in the movie Trap on Set as a young guy who came on vacation from Ghana and fell in love with an actress. He witnessed a movie shooting of his girlfriend, which later ended up in a horrific manner. Mr. Haruna pleaded to the general public to support his production in the launching of this movie, Trap on Set, as there are many movies in store to be released. Director T-Boy stressed on the ungratefulness amongst other movie production, as they never support other movie production, especially the younger ones. He said his production funds itself by tasking each member of the group to contribute, and hopes that a good Samaritan will come to their aid in supporting the movie production. He pleaded to the government to support the entertainment industry, as there are more untapped talented stars in waiting.
And with entertainment, news hour comes to a close, but before we go, quick look at the top stories. Sierra Leone's international credibility has been restored. International Day of Midwifery has been observed in the country. And the former marketing coordinator, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, George E. Mason, has passed on. And that's all in this edition of News Hour. Thanks for joining me. I'm Alice Maima Thompson. Good night.